So tonight I'm going to be making some tom kha gai soup. Um, you're probably watching this because you know what that is, but it's a Thai coconut, um, lemongrass, uh, mushroom, and chili soup, and it has coconut milk in it. So it's got a very unique flavor. It's got a lot of flavors going on in it, and the first time I ever tried it, I became a huge fan. And uh, the tom kha gai part, the gai part is chicken, so this has chicken in it. You can also make it with seafood, shrimp and things like that. But I really like the chicken. So I've got some things ready here, ready to go. I went ahead and prepped some vegetables and things that go in it. It's pretty simple. There's not much that you need to put a lot of effort into it. So here's a few things that you'll need. In my case, the chicken I used was just some chicken breasts, and some people, traditionally I think it's cooked in the soup, but so it's usually chopped up fine, like diced. But I don't do that. I don't really like that practice, and I know that it's traditional, but I don't do it anyway. So I pan fried some chicken breasts, and I'm gonna actually tear those apart so that it's basically pulled chicken, which I really like that texture in a soup. So that's what we're gonna do as far as the chicken's concerned. I'm making a double batch. This is basically a double batch. So I've got coconut milk, and I've got tomatoes, diced tomatoes, and I've got chicken broth, and then the spices thing goes into it is samba ulek, which is basically just a Thai chili paste. You can get it in most Asian areas of the grocery store. I chopped up some lemongrass. This is not, you can eat this, but it's really chewy and not very pleasant. So I just take it out. It usually floats. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put it in this water that I'm boiling now. And then that'll give us a chance to sort of infuse its flavors into that water. And so I'll have the flavor of the lemongrass, and then I'll take the actual lemongrass out, and then I'll be left over with a flavored water. And then you can put green onions in it. That's just a little more traditional. I'm using some chopped shallots, and then chopped cilantro, especially in this case the stems. I've got sliced mushrooms. You can really use any mushroom you want. And then lime juice, and underneath this cilantro is actually lime zest that I've already previously grated off there, and it's fine lime zest. Traditionally, I think they use kaffir lime leaves. I can't get kaffir lime leaves, or lemon leaves for that matter. So I'm not going to worry about that, but this should work fine. But I also have the lime juice here. And basically, that's it. Once this is going, I'll just go ahead and give this about 5 or 6 minutes for that lemongrass to simmer and infuse its flavors into that water. And then we'll go from there. Okay, and so I'm just tossing in the pieces of chopped lemongrass into my water that's now just lightly boiling, and I'm going to give that 5 or 6 minutes. Oop! Got to give that 5 or 6 minutes to simmer and infuse that water. Okay, so our lemongrass is now infused into the water, the boiling water. So just tossing those out. And we're going to go from there. I'm just shredding the chicken now. So here we got the chicken all shredded up. There's about a pound and a half of chicken breast here. Like I said, I just got the chicken breasts and pan fried them in a little olive oil. Yeah, until they were ready to done enough to shred. So I really like that texture in a soup rather than chunks of meat. So I think that works well. Another item, Asian item that I can't get here locally is called Galangal. It's a little like ginger, although I'm not sure it's in the same family, but it has a similar flavor. So I just use ginger in mine. And in this case, I used about an inch to an inch and a half of a standard size ginger root. And I like to basically grate it very fine, because I think it gives, number one, this is a nice creamy smooth soup, and that way you don't have to take the pieces of ginger out if you're just gonna have them in there, kind of like I did with the lemongrass. But yeah, I like ginger a lot, and this way you can ingest it. It's not a big deal. So anyway, this is how I do mine. Okay, so we're ready to start actually putting stuff in the pot for the soup. First thing we're going to do is I'm going to put 1 can of chicken broth, or whichever you have. That's about 1.5 cups, around about there. So we're going to put that in. You've got a little water in there already from the lemongrass, infusing the lemongrass into the water. So you got to add a little bit of moisture there. Then the next thing we're going to put in there is mushrooms. So here are our mushrooms. I've got it turned up, the temperature turned up to medium right now. Let it get up a little slower. So we've got our mushrooms in there. Alright, so the next thing is going to be some minced garlic. And that is there. So we got 3 tablespoons minced garlic. I know that sounds like a lot, and you don't have to use that much, but I absolutely adore garlic. So to me, there's really no such thing as too much garlic. So that's a good 3 tablespoons of garlic right there. And yes, sometimes I chop my own garlic, but not this time. Then we got the ginger. Finely grated ginger, all right, and we've got the shallots. Okay, so we got ginger, shallots, and the lime zest. Or I take it back, the lime zest is on the other plate. Never mind, that was just ginger and shallots. These blue plates all look exactly the same, so I got confused. So, stir the shallots and the ginger into it. I'm going to turn the heat up just a bit. Smells good already. The next thing is going to be the sambal ulek, which is, we're going to use 3 tea. This is really spicy. So it all depends on how much spice you want. I'm going to put 3 tablespoons in it, in this batch. So, same company or at least this one, the same company that makes the really famous sriracha sauce. Okay. Alright. That's 3 tablespoons of sambal ulek. 2 tablespoons of sugar, which obviously helps sweeten it should have a little sweet to it, but it helps cut the coconut flavor just a little bit. stir the sambal ulek in. So 2 tablespoons of sugar. Stir that in. Next is going to be coconut milk, which is really the key ingredient in this soup. It wouldn't be it without coconut milk. So where did I put, there it is. Okay, so you got this layer of fat on top, right? Coconut fat. It's fine. You don't have to, mix it up, stir it up, shake it up or anything. Just put it in there, it'll melt. It is a kind of fat. And then you got the liquid part of it underneath. If you've never used coconut milk before, that's completely normal. That adds a little bit more moisture, of course, to it, and it's creamy. So we got a second can of coconut milk to put in. Now this is the unsweetened kind of coconut milk, first pressing, they usually call it. Kind of like first pressing of olive oil. It's the stuff that comes out, before they take all the yucky stuff at the bottom for other things, other products. And then now we're going to put in the zest of 1 lime, which is underneath the cilantro. And then this cilantro, I used about a half cup chopped cilantro, and you definitely want the stems. You want the leaves too, but you definitely want the stems. There's a lot of flavor in the stems. So mix that in. I love these flavors together. Coconut and lime and cilantro and sometimes basil. This doesn't have any in, and there are some people, I guess, who make their tom kha gai soup without cooking the cilantro in it. If you really don't like cilantro or something, then what you can do is, if you want, you can put a little as garnish on the soup when you're ready to serve it. But I love the flavor of cilantro, so I put it in there as it is traditional too, and cook it. Man, it's really starting to smell good now. All right. So the other thing of the limes that I'm going to put in there is the juice of I use 2 small kind of. They're not key limes, but they're not a whole lot bigger than key limes. But they were small limes. But the juice of either 1 large lime or 2 small limes. So I'll put that in there. And then we're going to need to get some fish sauce in there. So 2 tablespoons of fish sauce. And it comes in a bottle. If you've never used it before, it comes in a bottle. It's kind of funny. It adds saltiness, and it's called fish sauce, and yes, of course, it's made with fish, but if you smell it, it really doesn't smell too much like fish, which is kind of nice. So, yeah, 2 tablespoons of fish sauce, and again, we don't add any salt to this. I put salt on the chicken when I was frying that, but not very much. So this is where you're getting most of your salt from, and you can always add salt if it needs it later, or more fish sauce, I suppose. But so 2 tablespoons fish sauce, and then finally, the 2 last things are the tomatoes, the diced tomatoes. So I've got two different kinds here. I've got just regular diced tomatoes, no salt added. Alright, so put those in there. Alright. And the other one I have is our fire roasted tomatoes. Fire roasted diced tomatoes. I just like there's a little bit of a tiny smoky flavor to them. You know, which I think enhances the flavor. So, you don't have to use those, but I do. And that is everything but the chicken now. So, just have to add the chicken meat in, and this is just about the perfect amount of moisture at this point. And of course, as it cooks, it'll cook down, thicken a little. Okay, and the final ingredient is the chicken. So like I said, this is about 1.5 pounds of shredded chicken breast. And you can use diced chicken. You should cut it small. And there's two ways to do this. Like I think I mentioned earlier, you can cut up the chicken in small pieces and put it in and raw and cook it as you cook the soup. I don't like doing that. It's probably silly, but there's just something about it I don't like. So I do it this way, and I really like the texture of the shredded chicken in soups. I think it's a lot more pleasant than, just to me, than having big chunks of chicken. Not huge, big chunks, but chunks of chicken anyway. Yeah, so that's everything. There now. I'm going to bring that up to a boil here, so I'm going to increase the temperature a bit. Bring that up to a boil. It already smells really good. There are a lot of flavors going on in this soup. And again, it's a Thai soup. Very, very popular, both in Thailand and here in the United States where I am, for people who like Thai food. And the first time I tried this, man, I really fell in love with it. So we'll let that go for a little bit here. I'll be right back. So I'm going to give this about 10 minutes to come up to a boil. Once it comes up to a boil, then I'm going to turn it down to simmer. And after that 10 minutes, you can determine whether or not you think it looks thick enough. It doesn't have to be super thick or anything. But I usually probably another 5 minutes or so to simmer. And that's it. Basically, that's it. You just you can serve it with a lot of things. It doesn't really need rice or anything like that. But it really almost is a meal by itself. And I usually just have some egg rolls with it, just an egg roll with my bowl of soup. So I hope that you give this a try and enjoy it. Hopefully I gave all the ingredients properly, and hopefully it got you interested in doing Thai food if you've never done Thai food before. So, well, this is Chris, otherwise known as Shadow Wolf 1, signing off. Bon appetit.